Okay, I think let's start. I think yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Um, First of all, thank you so much, Urusha, for accepting my invitations to join Sydney Reflect, and great to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Finally, I'm meeting you virtually though, in person, and we're having this chat, so I'm really excited about it.
I
And
like since I was like appointed as a change am in the uni, and since I saw you in the I change video, it must be since then I wanted to have like a proper chat with you, or proper talk with you, or meet you actually, but that never happened. So it's good to finally be with you, although virtually, but it's nice to finally talk to you.
yeah,
Same,
and
same.
yeah, I think congratulations as well. I think in the last video you were featured in one of the videos of CQ University where you were sharing your insight regarding your degree. I think, and congratulations for that.
Thank you so much. It was actually more than a year back ago that was filmed, and
Mhm.
I have another video linked to that actually. But we used that part of the video for Masters of Professional Accounting. I actually did that video when there was a severe lockdown in Melbourne. And then I was expressing how, studying in City University helps you just go beyond your, potential. So that's, yeah, they reused the video, but I think Maria actually has done a very great job on that.
Yeah, I think when I see your blogs and when I see whatever you are sharing in your status or in your social media, I think you really enjoyed your student life in CQ University, as well as I think you really what to say like there were a lot of opportunities, and I think you really grabbed those opportunities. I mean, most of the international students here, I think I don't know why, but they don't grab those opportunities. And when I see you like doing different kind of activities, different kind of events, and so tell us about how you manage all this.
So I had planned this before I came here actually. So when I was planning to come to Melbourne and then study in Santa Cruz University, I used to, YouTube everything about university. And when I was planning to study in CQ University, I got a brochure from one of the education agents in Nepal. Then I saw one of the Nepali alumni who was sharing her experience of how she became student mentor. And then that just pulled me. And then I just wanted to, my just passion and my goal was, yes, I will be studying, I will be doing my degree. I'm going to do, good at it. I know about that. I have faith in myself, but I'm going to grab everything that is around me. And when I went to State University, there were mentors. They were wearing different kind of t-shirts, and they had a mentor at the back of their t-shirt. And then I would just go and then ask, what do you do? What is your name? And how can I apply for all this stuff? And it's just my passion to grab all the opportunities that it is there. And the main goal was to represent my country. And I just wanted to spread that Nepal is just not about mountains. Because when you say you are from Nepal, everyone will say, oh, have you been to Mount Everest? And okay, Lord Buddha was born there. But except those two identities, I wanted to share the whole, at least university, that we as Nepali are no less than others, and then we can grab opportunities and we can handle. And it was a lot about self-management as well, prioritizing all the facts on hand. And yeah, as I mentioned, I just wanted to grab all the opportunities I wanted. And to grab those opportunities, it was not easy task. I had to go and then talk to a lot of people. Um, yeah, so that's how I was involved in um, international student ambassador, campus life committee, orientation, social innovation, I change, and writing blogs. So I think I tried to grab everything that was there.
How did you got into iChain? That is the thing I would like to know. Like, how come you come to know about Ashley, and how do you also tell me about like how was the project? How did you guys film it? Like, how many time did it took? I'd like to know about that.
So I met Robin Dick, who was the project manager of iChange, and
Mm-hmm.
who was also one of the head teams of iChange and social innovation there in CQUniversity when I was there. And I met him in 25th anniversary of CQUniversity. So I was an international student ambassador, and I was invited there. And there, I used to talk to any people there, and I love to network. As you can see, I love to talk as well. So I just met Robin because I was planning about, what is social innovation, how I can be part of it. And when we were having a chat about, what my passions are back in Nepal as well. So social innovation for me didn't just start here in Australia. It started back in Nepal. In Nepal, I was involved in a community farmers market in my hometown, where we would gather organic fruits or vegetables that were grown by people living there. And we would sell there. And then it was just like a hub where we would meet every Saturday and have a conversation about it. All the profits were going to an orphanage. So I was just sharing, how I have done this work. I was handling the marketing over there. And then after that, I worked in an INGO in Nepal. It's called WWF Nepal. So I was just sharing all my passion about social enterprise, social innovation to Robin. And we just got along with it. And then I think he remembered that for a while. And after that, I just got involved in social innovation. I started going to a lot of workshops that was organized by our university and just having those small chats. And I remember I got email from Robin when my finals were just knocking at my door. I think it was just 2 or 3 days. And I got an email from him. And then I just looked at the email and I was like, will I take this opportunity or not? I've never done this. I know about social innovation and I want to learn a lot about it. I want to be involved in that project. However, shall I be, putting aside my studies for a while because I was preparing for my exams? And shall I take this up or not? So he had just called me for a catch up to, let us know what is this going to be about, how long it's going to be, and who will be another member of the team. And I was just, seeing the opportunity a lot about, shall I go or not? And then it's just like, strike me, I should take this opportunity. I'm always an opportunity taker. So I said yes. We met, and then I met with the team. The team we worked with was Gozer, Gozer Studio, and then we worked with them. We had an orientation about what this is going to be about, and it took about I think 3 or 4 months because not only did we prepare the videos, not only I spoke in front of the cameras and read through the teleprompter. I had to go with my other team. His name is Leslie, and he's from Bandabur. So me and Leslie would have to go to different social entrepreneurs or anyone who is involved in social innovation and then interview them and then ask them what social innovation is actually to them and why they are in this field. So we went to Rockhampton and I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of CEO, directors, people from government, NGOs, INGOs, and different sectors. So it was a very good experience, and I'll always treasure those experience throughout my life. Actually,
It looked like that. Like you had to make a video. Since I'm into like video production and everything, I know how much of like effort does it need to like plan all those things and put it together and get that video. So it must have been a lot of fun for you, man. I would have loved it.
yes, it was a lot of fun to be honest. So Ashley and the whole team did a great job in preparing this brief, preparing everything for us. And then we had to go to Goza's studio, and me, Leslie, we had never met actually. And then it was this, workshop or let's say project that we met, and we just got along so well. And he was really tall, so you can see we are on same height in iChange video, but I'm really small. I had a big, trunk that was put be below me, so I would have to stand up there, and then we would be on the kind of stand. Yes. So when the camera was like, "Yep, let's start it," then you just have to be so energized and in
Uh-huh.
all those, all those feelings and all those whatnot
Uh,
skills you have, which I don't have, I know that. And yeah, so you just have to be at the moment. And it
mhm.
was so much fun just interviewing people. When you were off camera, you would be able to talk to them so well and we do have a conversation. But when the camera started, because we had two cameras, one over here, one over there,
Mm.
and then yeah, so it was really a good experience, I must say. I will say that I came out of my comfort zone to do this,
Mhm.
even though I'm an extrovert, but sometimes I'm an introvert as well. So that project just actually changed my life. After I came back to uni, after that, project had happened, there was banners and my photo was there. People
Mhm.
were recognizing me.
You
I
were
was
a
like, oh my God,
celebrity.
yeah, I felt so for a couple months. And then
Of
even
course.
now, yeah, even now I go back to I change and look at the videos, how I had done. Yeah, and then I feel like, oh my God, this chapter of my life, it was there, it's a legacy over there. So despite of being engaged in that I change program, I've taken a lot of, learnings from there as well, which I'm still
Mhm.
implying. So that was a very good experience for me.
You had a bit of an experience of acting in a movie. I was I got a documentary more than a movie, a documentary, I guess.
Yeah,
Have you
true.
have you considered it doing it more? Like, have you considered acting as a part of your
Not
career?
actually.
Not
Not
actually.
actually. No.
All right.
I love podcasts and I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do one as well, but I never got started. So I'm really excited to be in this one. But I've never considered, yeah, doing acting.
Okay.
Yeah, and like you just share about you went to a lot of CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of social innovators. Just tell us about what you learned from them and what we can learn from those experiences.
So the main thing was, they're passionate about solving social problems and putting humans in each process. So as we have studied more and more about social innovation, we look at the human-centered design. So in every process of their business or any, organizational change or any part of their organizational process, they put humans or us people in each of the process, and all the work they do are to, uplift the humankind, I must say. So when I spoke to a lot of CEOs, my main questions were, why are you involved in social innovation? They all had a same purpose to help others, to inspire others to solve a social problem, or let's say wicked problems and mega trends, as we call in I Change. And that just, it just makes you experience, or it just makes you think that it's not always about wealth accumulation, that you have to, that we are born, we need to think about other things. We need to think about in humankind. It's not just about wealth accumulation that this capitalism is bringing up. So all their purpose was to help others and how to solve these problems using their own skills, knowledge, and collaboration.
Human centered design is a topic that came in our last podcast too, but we didn't talk much about it. When I was actually working in the university and I was into the zone, I actually had this concept of doing this in Nepal using the basically human centered design, where what we do is we go to like a particular village and we go and see what are the skills that people there already have, or what are some of the skills which we can teach them easily that might help them get some kind of income, and somehow form a social enterprise around what skills they have, and
Yeah.
do the same thing in the next village and the same thing in another village. I had that idea in my mind back then, and that's what human centered design basically is. You go out there and see what are the needs that the people actually who are facing the problem are having, and based on that we come up with a solution. Instead of thinking, okay, this is what they are missing, this is what they need, instead of just imagining yourself, you go out, ask the people there, see what is happening, and based on that you come up with solutions.
Yes.
That's
And
basically the
I
human-centered
can,
design.
sorry, I can resonate this with one of the conversations I had with um, someone in iChange. I don't remember his name, but that this is the same thing he was talking about. That we should not just make solutions to people, but we need to understand in ground level what problems they are having, and then talk to them actually and what change they want and they need, rather than we going there because we are, they are the stakeholders there. We are, just going with a pilot project, and we should not implement until we have those ideation phase and inspiration phase. So we should not go to the implementation phase. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think, and I think probably the next question is something I think you have asked in iChange. I think so. I'm going to ask the same question to you. Like when it's come to solving a problem, so from where we should start? I'm like, what's the starting point of that journey? What do you think about this one?
So I would say that, as I mentioned, with in relation to human-centered design as well, we need to see the core problem. We need to listen to people, listen to the stakeholders. So stakeholders are anyone who are experiencing the change or who are experiencing the problem. So the listening part should be there. We should not just come up with a solution. Problem solving is not just, you can go in with a solution, and you need to first identify what the real core problem is and what is the source of the problem. So if we can, solve the source of the problem by talking to the people who are actually having those problems, then it's easier to solve rather than just going there and then just thinking that, yeah, the solution needs to be there. So it's more about, thinking and listening. It's more about having a good questions to ask as well. And after you ask questions, just going deep, not just asking one question and assuming that, okay, this is the solution they need, but just trying to get deeper in conversation and trying to get more insights and more thing about what problems they are facing actually.
So if someone, I'm like, if some international student, even I, if I want to be a social innovator, a social change maker, then how can I develop that skills, or how can I develop that kind of mindset? Like asking questions, having empathy. So how can I develop that kind of skills?
First, it needs to come within you, and you need to have that passion and purpose. This is not something you develop overnight. You need to have a mindset also. It's not about um, asking others, but you need to embed in yourself that I need to make a change. I need to learn a lot about social innovation, or it this does not need to be about social innovation only, just being on a ground level and um, going to workshops. I would say going to workshops and having conversation about what actually, you know, things, what actually makes you think about why I wake up every morning. And as I mentioned before, it's not only about self-optimization and having a profession. This era, it's not only about the job you do, but what purpose do you serve in this life as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's true. I'm thinking no, instead of like just showing up like we are doing some social works or we are doing some social change, I think that needs to come from within. And I feel like it's not like we have to solve every problem of the society, or we are passionate about every social problems. I think some might be passionate about some different social problems. I think peoples are passionate about not every problems, maybe some of the problems that they feel that they are connected with. And I think is there any social problems that you care about in your life?
I would say that the social problem I would, there are a lot to be honest. And the core area I would like to focus is on sustainability, about recycling and, all sustainability rather than the community sectors at this point. But I am involved in a social impact and advisory firm right now. I'm doing an internship. The question that you just asked, I would say that, trying to see opportunities and just not trying to be, you know, for example, you're just living your life, but you want to be you want to have experience in social innovation, what social enterprise is. Maybe you don't have any clue about it. Maybe you know that in a theoretical base, but you don't know in practical life. You don't know how it works. So you can go for internships as well. And you need to look for all the opportunities. And in my life, what I've learned is there are only two answers to a question. Either it's yes or no. So you need to get out and then try yourself and talk to people, network, go to workshops. Now you can't go to workshops, physically, but there are so many virtual workshops that are free, and you just need to set a time yourself and think what area your passion is in. Because as you mentioned before, we can't put our hands in everything and we can't solve all the problems, but pick out what you are actually passionate about and try to solve it. And it can be as small as, changing in your home as well, how sustainable you are. Maybe it can be recycling, or if someone is facing a problem, just being a mentor to them and listening to them. So I also mentor some of the students in CQUniversity through CQU Career Connection, and they come up and ask questions. And I had this student who is living in Pakistan right now and studying from there. And he was so passionate about asking questions that I wanted to actually help him. He had a lot of information and he had a lot of research done himself. And I was so, you know, energized with his energy as well. So that day I was having a little bit of not a bad day, I would say, but I was not feeling that well. But his energy, sometimes you resonate with the energy that other present you. So even though he was living far away in Pakistan, he was, giving me that energy and I could resonate with him. So it's just small things rather than trying to do the big part of the actions.
Yeah, I think we talk about this. I think in the last podcast where we were talking like the change should come from within first, and the change should start from home rather than from community. And I think that's the one of the best approach.
Yeah, as Rohit was saying, like look into what you are doing yourself first, like even with your work, what kind of work you are doing. And yeah, these social problems and social issues are, as the as Usa mentioned, the wicked term. I actually had forgotten about it. So we call it wicked problems, not because they are evil, but in a sense that they are so much hard to deal with. It's not like you can just look it from one angle and try to solve it. There are different angles to it, and they are all intertwined with each other, intermingled with each other, and it's really very hard to figure out like a one particular solution for it. So instead of thinking that and going crazy about like I can't do anything, you're gonna start from yourself, do your part on it instead of trying to like
Yeah,
change it in a bigger scale.
yeah. It can be very small things, For example, you go about doing these podcasts and people are listening to it. And there was a day when I was working and I wanted to listen to a podcast that is, you know, of international students living in Australia. And I actually found it. And I was hearing about you sharing your journey about mental health. And I think all the international students face that, even
Hmm.
though some might not, mention that they have faced it, but everyone faces that. Let's get that
That's my
straight.
experience too.
True. And then, you are doing a part of yourself as well. So little things. It does not need to be a bigger part. You don't need to open up an enterprise today. You need to have that mindset. And if you have in within yourself that you want to do something better for the community, maybe not today, but at least you have that mindset that you will do it someday. You are preparing for it,
Yeah.
in a small any jobs you do. So another thing that got me through living in Australia is all the jobs I do, I try to see the good part of it and I try to pick what are the things I learned. Even, a receptionist job or admin job or any job. You get to learn so much from small things. even working, let's say if someone is working as a wait staff, it's not an easy thing to do. And you need to, grab those small learnings from everything so that you can do a bigger part in later of your life.
That's true. I believe in that. Like, I
Yeah.
always had that problem with my dad, as I've said before, to like where he says like, you're an engineer, you have to do an engineering job. But I'm like, why do I have to do an engineering job? It's a degree. I could do anything else. There are a lot of things I could do with that. You doesn't have to be fixed in one thing. There is something to learn from everything, and then you utilize all the skills you have from all of that into one your life.
Yeah, sure. So I was being mentored by one of the colleagues in the advisory firm I'm interning it. And I looked at her, I was struggling through the same thing. Even though I'm studying accounting, I'm working in accounting, but sometimes I feel a disconnection between what I'm doing and what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was speaking to her, and she mentioned she has changed a lot of jobs. It's not that, because she's not enjoying it, or she was doing a job or a profession for a couple of years and then she moved. And it's just normal nowadays. And we are not living in that era where you have to become someone that you had studied. There are a lot of examples from my mentors and people I work with. They have
Mm-hmm.
studied linguistic, but they are working in social innovation. They have studied health, but they are doing something else. So I know when you speak to yourself, and even when I speak to myself about how to study accounting job, but shall I look for another job? Then people start asking questions, or even you start asking questions about shall I be doing other jobs, or just you wake up and say, what about the career, or what about the degree I did? It took me 2 or 3 years, but from those degrees, just try to learn what you have actually, what you want to do, and it's just phase of life. So I don't think it matters that you study something and then
Mm-hmm.
you become something or you work in different field.
I was actually inspired by, I think, two people who did this kind of career change. One of them was Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, so he's the vocalist for Iron Maiden, but I think he's also a pilot, and I'm not sure if he's some kind of engineer, I guess, and a pilot, and then he's a singer of a rock and roll famous all the world band. And I think another was Mr. Bean. He has like masters in electrical engineering or something like that, but
Yeah, sure.
he's doing funny comedy show out there. So those two people were the people who inspired me to like think like, okay, so just because you have studied it doesn't mean you have to be this. You can be also something else in life. There are plenty of opportunities, and
Yeah,
that's
if
what I believe in.
if he had done something electrical or engineer job, we would not have known him. We would not be talking about Mr. Bean right now.
Yeah, it's always good to have different kinds of skills and knowledge and
Sure.
experiences.
Yeah. Accumulation of knowledge is what you should focus on at this age.
Mm.
And what do you know? Maybe, in coming 10 years or so, you become an engineer or you open up a engineering firm that looks after sustainable business, and then you
Mm.
are not doing engineering stuff, but you are using that knowledge because you already have that and it's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just want to know, like, yeah, I mean, like, as we are talking about this one, but I think there are lots of international students who are finding so hard to come out from their comfort zone. Like, it's very easy for us to talk about this one, but there are the international students, there are the graduates who are, who are who want to come out from their comfort zone, but they are really struggling from that. So, what do you think, Urusha, they should do? I'm like, what are the steps they should take on that? I'm like, how should they start on that?
This is a funny one,
Sure.
but I have one. You should listen
Pardon?
to our pod. I have a funny answer for that. Not actually funny. It's actually very effective answer for that. Listen to our podcast.
Yeah.
You will know
True.
that.
True. Yes. Yes. I would definitely say that as an answer as well.
Yeah.
Yes, because I actually I'm very fan of podcasts, and I listen to a lot of podcasts that is done by Malvika Siva as well, and she interviewed. people living from a different country, even though they're Nepali. And I always get inspired by how people travel as well and their wins. When people are feeling low or when they want to come out of their comfort zone, they can, relate to us as they can just reference our experience by listening to podcasts like this, because everyone has their struggle and it takes a lot of hard work, persistence, and then commitment to get out of your comfort zone. And first of all, I would suggest any international students or anyone who's trying to get out of the comfort zone to find mentors or to find people who are, who they can relate their story to. It can be, a younger person or anyone. It doesn't need to be a celebrity or anyone. And try to find a mentor that can actually help you out. Try to speak up how you can improve on things. If you want to get out of your comfort zone, if you just write in your notes and if you don't speak about it to anyone, no one will know and no one will give you an opportunity. So you need to actually speak out. I know it is not easy thing to do, but you need to have that, you know, guts as well and courage to get out of your comfort zone. And international students also need to think that Melbourne is Melbourne or Sydney or Australia. It's there are a lot of opportunities here. It is difficult to find, but there are a lot of opportunities there. If you have a conversation or if you just send an email to someone, they will come back to you and just try to find what you like and find a mentor, talk to them, go for a coffee or just hang out in room. And anyone who is in a profession or anyone, is trying to, I feel that everyone is trying to, help someone out. For example, if someone comes to me or to you and asks questions, then obviously you would help them out and you share your stories that would inspire them. So yes, that would be my answer.
Yeah, I think mentor, the importance of mentor is very important in our life. Like we think like we know every answers. I think when we read something or when we watch something and we feel like we got the answer, but I think having a mentor and it's one of the best way to go forward.
Yeah.
And so this is my personal experience. Like when I came to Sydney. When I came to Sydney, and there was a circle of my friends and who always talk about like, like how to pay the uni fee, and they were also talking about sending money back home, and they were also talking about PR. So that kind of circles, and it's really hard to grow out of from that circles, and it's really hard to like to tackle the noises. So did you experience that kind of noise in your student life? And how did you get out of from that noises?
That was the everyday battle, actually. I don't want to, be harsh or something, but there was a lot of times when people used to talk about just work and about PR, and sometimes you get into conversation as well. Sometimes you are the conversation starter, and someone you are the listener. This is just part of, becoming an international student. We never think that we will be running after PR when we apply in our own country. But after you have come up here, after you have done your studies, and now you want to, work and find experience, then it clicks you that you need PR to do everything. You need PR to get a job in good industry, good organization. So those noises were always there. And I try to avoid those noises sometimes if I could. But if I could not, then just not being part of the conversation was difficult. But just all you can do is you can try to listen to it and not try to, let it stay in your mind. And um, as all the international students, even I also worked, odd jobs, all the other jobs it was there. And the thing is, you need to see how many hours you have in a day. Everyone has 24 hours. You need to see how you want to utilize it. Even though all the distractions and noises are there, you need to, list down what are the things you want to do. The noise and distractions are always going to be there. It's part of the international student life, and you need to just accept that. But even though you are in that zone, you need to see how can I benefit it? How can you don't try to get out of that zone, but even though you are distracted, even though noise is there, it's always going to be there. What I have learned myself is trying to always run towards the PR thing is just hampering a lot of international students' life, and maybe including us as well. And always trying to chase those PR residency status, we are forgetting what we are actually, we have skill about, experience about, and what we can actually do. We are not being able to utilize our potentials. So trying to avoid is difficult, but trying to see the better side and how you can utilize your time here rather than always going after PR will be my suggestion to everyone.
Yeah, I think that's true. I'm like, a lot of time, like, there will be always conversation with friends, like, are we applying for PR, or how can we get PRs? And there is very less conversations like how can we grow our life, or where are you in your career, or what progress are you doing right now, or what are the projects you are doing in your life. So I think we need to have this kind of conversation rather than how to get PR. I think that's when we really focus on our life, focus on our career, and focus on how we can grow in our life.
True, I agree with that. And it's difficult to find people with the same mindset. And if you have someone with the same mindset, then it is easier to grow as well. So it is a balance between finding people with the right mindset and being in a circle with everyone who is experiencing those stuff.
It's like with every like international student we bring here and talk about, it's always about that, like PR and jobs. Like it's important. It's not like, it's not, as you said, it's important for like all sorts of proper professional jobs, or to have proper establishment here in Australia, so that you can start something new or do something. But somehow we are just not able to take us out of just those two three facts and see everything as a whole. We are so much entrapped between that, and I think that is one of the main reasons why we have this podcast, so that we could reach out to people and say that it's not only that, it's bigger than that. There are better opportunities and better potential out in this place.
True. And I was reading one of the blogs of Neeraj and how he had mentioned that I think he has a year to stay in Australia and how he wants to grab all the opportunities that is in place or that is in front of him. And I resonate with that as well. We never know, even if we get PR, it's there are people returning back to their country. They are not happy with their life, even though they have a PR, even though they have a good profession. So it's, you know, it is kind of a subject that is difficult to answer. It depends upon each individual and what are their passion and their goal as well. But trying to grab all the opportunities that are there rather than trying to just chase after PR. That is what I've learned, and that is what has got me through here. And sometimes when you are in, peak of your profession as well, you start to question yourself: do you really want to do this? Are you really happy? And mental health and happiness about within you is really important, and in this COVID situation it's more important than ever.
True.
So as we are talking about social innovations, we talked about human-centered design. Why do you think this social innovations or human-centered design is important in our life, or in the life of an individual?
So as I'm being involved in the projects that I'm doing an internship with, try to question everyone present there why you are being involved in social innovation, why you are in this working in this company where you could be working in other companies, doing other jobs. And it's all about people's mindset, as I have mentioned before, and their purpose to help people. Um, Also trying to, so there are many organizations that are manufacturing, not being sustainable, but there are other spectrum of organizations or companies that are looking about how to solve the human problems, how to solve the ground level problems. And these problems are actually brought up by humankind. It just didn't come up there. It's due to the pollution we created. It's due to our actions that we are facing this problem, and we need to solve them. So I see a group of people that they're trying to solve these problems because they feel that it's their purpose in life as well, rather than just their profession.
And I just want to, I think, did I forget? No. Yeah. I remember. I remember in one you were feature in CQ Uni Spotlight. Spotlight. I think that's CQ Uni Spotlight. I think. Yeah, Spotlight. Yeah, Spotlight. And there were a couple of questions, and there were a couple of answers that you gave. And I think we also talk about this one. And there was one question like, what is a motto or phrase that you live by? And your answer was like, step out of comfort zone and work hard. And we also talk about that one already. But I want to know a particular experience, like, is there a particular experience you want to share where you came out of your comfort zones and how you feel on that?
Yes, I have actually. This dates back in Nepal, but not here. I love dancing, but I'm not a good dancer. And I always wanted to, go up in the stage and participate in those cultural events that we have in university. And I studied in Kathmandu University, in LACN, which is affiliated to KU. And so I really wanted to go on that stage and participate and do that dance performance, but I did not have it in me. I don't feel myself that flexible, even though I know dancing, just a party girl dancer. And I told my group of friends that I want to be involved in that dance group. And when I went to the stage, I was like, oh, I can't do this. I'm gonna give up because I can't. It's not this stage fright that I have because I have done a lot of talk, speaking in front of a lot of people, but it was the dance steps. I was just, questioning myself, will I be able to remember all the dance steps or not here and there? So that was the day I actually came out of my comfort zone because I had never done that before and it was always in my bucket list.
Yeah, I think coming out of comfort zone is a really struggle, even for me. Like, even before starting this podcast, I was really like a kind of having fear, like how can I start? If I start, then I'm like, can I speak properly or not? How do I speak with the guest, or what kind of question I have to ask? So that kind of fear, that kind of I'm like setbacks or that kind of feelings really stopped me in the beginning. And but once I said, no, let's try it. Let's try it. I think let's come out from the comfort zone, because that's what I love doing. Like having conversations with the peoples and sharing their knowledge, reflecting their experiences. That from where we can learn so much, and that's what I want to do. And I think starting a podcast was also one of the coming out of comfort zone for me as well here.
Yeah, true. It is difficult to come out of the comfort zone, but once you get out of the comfort zone, it feels so good. It feels like a big achievement.
It's the part when we talked with Reshma, remember, where she said that it's the uncertainties we are actually uncomfortable with than actually doing the task itself. And that's what somehow hinders us or blocks us from doing the things, because we are uncomfortable with the feeling that, or knowing that you don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
For me, in those kind of times, I like to have a mindset like, do it and you will know. Like, if you do it and if it's right, good on you. If not, you will learn something from it, but do it, try it, because you never know unless you try it. And also the other phrase that I always remember is, you miss 100% of the opportunities that you don't take. So take it. You will at least have some percentage out there, you know.
Yes, that is the. I think that is the new motto I should have in my CQU spotlight. I didn't even remember that it was there. It was, I don't know, 2 years back or 4 years back.
Yeah, you never know when you're writing for those things. You just write down things in that particular situation you are in, or those particular month, or those particular 6 months period of time, what was happening. You write according to that instead of what looking at the whole life and writing. Because I've written,
No,
I remember that like there was a time when in all of the CQUni videos I was there somewhere.
yeah,
Random out of that, but that's again like you said before, you know, how you look for people in online to see what's the uni like and their quotes and everything. I think I saw you back then too, and like I was searching for people. I saw your video and I was like, oh, there is like a Nepali person out there in the video. Maybe I should be there someday. I should try for that. So that's how I got into all those things, and I am kind of proud of it. That saying that I was in like almost like not only the whole main video of CQ Uni, but if there was anything regarding social innovation, I was there. If there was anything regarding Sydney, I was there. My face was there in almost all of those videos.
thank you. Actually, it's really good to know that I was able to inspire people.
You were,
And
you were. You have been
thank,
a lot from iChange and everything, man. You have inspired people more than you could actually think of it.
Yeah,
thank
I agree
you.
on that.
It's really good to know. So also, but I want to share something as well. The second part of my comfort zone is blogging.
Mhm.
I do write a lot, but I used to never share it. And one time we were having this conversation with someone in the international students team in Melbourne, and then they wanted us to write blogs, and that's when I started. And I really wanted to have my own blog as well. And then I worked, I don't know, 2 or 3 months creating the blog from scratch. And I'm not that tech savvy person when it comes to, all those web design and stuff. But I was able to do it, and I that's how I came out of my comfort zone as well, trying to present what I feel. So I'm doing weekly blogs, but I'm not that updated right now. And
Mhm.
the reason I brought up this was I have named my blog Urusha Inspires. I don't know why I came up with that name because when you have to have a
What's
domain
the name
name,
again? What's the name again?
Urusha Inspires.
Urban
My
Inspires. Okay.
name inspires.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's so absurd to be honest. But when you have to choose a domain name, and my I was thinking, why am I creating this blog? Is it for monetary purpose, or why am I
Mhm.
creating? And the main reason I wanted to create a blog was to share my experience, share knowledge, and at least help one person a day, I guess. And then yeah, I just came up with that name. That is so absurd, but just wanted to share.
That's a good way to do it. It's something that you like to do, and that's why you do it. And names, I have a lot of problem with names too, like coming up with names for any business or any group name or anything. And I have reached to a situation right now like name doesn't matter, put whatever. It's what you do, what you provide, services, product, or whatever is doing, that matters. Name is just a name, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters, but I have to think it like that because I'm very bad with names. So having Ursa inspires, why that? Maybe you are inspiring somewhere, you are actually inspiring people out there, as I said. So it's not absurd, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. It's good to know.
Yeah, even when I came with this name Sydney Reflect, I'm like, um, uh, before coming out with this name, I did a lot of self reflections, and suddenly come like reflections and Sydney. So Sydney Reflect, and I think, oh yeah, this is a very good name. I'm like, those international students who come here in Sydney and reflecting their journey, and so Sydney Reflect might be a perfect name. So that's how I came. I'm like, so did you do? I'm like, do you do reflection in your life? You probably do. I think I can see a lot of blogs in your life. So how does reflection help you in your life?
I do a lot of reflections. Sometimes it's just in a train, writing on my phone in my notes, or sometimes it's just sitting down, burning a candle, and then writing things, writing feelings down. So I love to reflect yearly or sometimes daily, and it's all about emotions that I'm going through. If I'm in a happy place, sometimes I just don't reflect on, maybe 2 or 3 months, but it just goes, not just sad phases, but it comes with emotions. But I do reflect a lot, and I journal, and see where I'm at. And every morning, I wake up, I do a to-do list, and at the end of the day, or the sorry, excuse me, at the end of the week or the next day, I see what things I've done or not, and where I was lacking. And um, I have this bad habit of, when you are not doing something, you feel guilty. I don't know if others feel that or
I
not.
have that all the time.
Yeah, that
I
happens a
have
lot.
that all the time.
So
It is
I
actually
have,
happening with me these days.
yeah, I have that bad habit of, not trying to, I don't know, live that moment, I guess, and just trying to think, oh, I'm just,
Wasting
spending
my
my
time.
time. True, the right word I'm using. And sometimes I feel like, oh, I shouldn't be this harsh to myself. So that is the battle between, being harsh to yourself, wasting time, and enjoying the time you have.
Yeah, I think what I found is like when I put a lot of tasks or a lot of to do lists, and I can't, if I do lists, for example, I put 5 to do list, and I did 4 of them, but I could not do the last one, and I feel so guilty on that. So nowadays I don't put 5 list. I put just 2 or 3 lists that is more important to me, and I just do that one, and I think that helped me a lot.
Yeah, and also setting a deadline and trying to see when you can actually accomplish that rather than writing. It's good to write all the list of, things you need to do, but setting a deadline and being flexible about it. And then because we are humans, so we need to be flexible in our lives. We should not always think about, we have wasted our time, even though I've mentioned that, and I struggle with that sometimes. So prioritizing it.
So you came to Australia in 2016, I guess.
Yeah, I came November 2016.
November 2016, and it's 2021. So how do you find yourself now? I'm like reflecting to those days and comparing to now.
Oh my God, that's a big question to be asked right now, actually. Um, so there are a lot of changes on me. I see a lot of growth, and when I speak to my friends in Nepal as well, they mention that I've, taken up a lot, and I've grabbed a lot of opportunities. So when I was in the uni life, I was doing a lot. And right now, when I reflect back, I feel that that uni life was really fun as well. You didn't have to think about PR or anything else, not even your profession. When I reflect back, I think I'm in a happy place right now because I am doing what I studied, my profession, and it's going pretty well. And I'm doing an internship um, with a social advisory firm that I have mentioned. And so the main reason I joined that firm to do an internship, it's a voluntary internship, was it is a balance and it correlates accounting and social innovation. I wanted to learn about SROI, it's social return on investment.
Hmm.
My passion is to work on organizations or companies that are doing something good for our community, or in other terms, a for purpose organization.
Hmm.
So that passion led me to do this internship, and I'm having a lot of fun learning a lot about new things. I did not want to do that 9 to 5 job where I'm just, stuck in there. I did that for 3 years. And even when I was doing that, I was doing tax work as well. So after I came here, I've done not just one professional, one job. I've had hands in many things. And yeah, it's just a happy place for me to be right now, even though there are a lot of external things that's going around.
The term you said, social return of impact, I'm kind of interested in that. Like, So you basically, let me clarify if I got this right. So you're basically saying if you're like a social organization or a social enterprise, then you're trying to measure how much impact have you made by that, right?
Correct. So it's social return on investment. So
Mm-hmm.
we measure the impact of the value and the investment that has been put by the organizations, and we
Mm-hmm.
actually measure if the value has what is the value and what is the outcome of the value, what is the result of the value. So there is a dollar value that is attached to every SROI that is done. And right now I'm involved in a project that involves food shares.
Mm-hmm.
So people with we are assessing food insecurity in different parts of Victoria. So it's really, as I mentioned before, this opportunity came because I emailed one day to that firm saying, "Do you have an internship opportunity? I'm available this day. I'm really passionate about this." I did not know much about it, to be honest. I did not know much about SROI. I just Googled it and I knew that it measures the social, economical, and environmental impact that is created by an organization where the activities are done. And after a month or so, I got a reply that they were doing this
Mm-hmm.
project, and they if I was interested, and I said yep. And it's been 2 months now that I'm being involved in this project. And being involved in this firm, I am being introduced to impact weighted accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of terms I'm bringing, and these are all related to social innovation as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so these are all related to social innovation because we are trying to solve wicked and mega trend problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Maybe you could clear it more with an example. Like, let's say I'm a social organization or a social enterprise who is trying to help homeless people, right? So how
yeah.
would you measure the social rate of return of investment on that? Like, what's the process like?
Okay. So the um, homeless community would be the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not looking at the shareholders here. We are looking at the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Stakeholders are someone who are experiencing the change. So your organization is helping out them in a way. Maybe you're providing them beds or
Mm-hmm.
um, work or something like that.
Food.
So we
Mm-hmm.
measure, and you invest money on that, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
partner or your organization puts money on that. So
Mm-hmm.
these money are, although you prepare financial statements, you only see the P&L, profit and loss or
Mm-hmm.
balance sheet about what grants you have received, what money you have spent. That's just the income and expense. But the SRI here is measuring the social, economic, and environmental impact about of the work you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we first of all stakeholder engagement is done. In stakeholder engagement, you speak to the stakeholders. The
Mm-hmm.
stakeholders are your organization, the homeless community who is experiencing it, any funders or donors to your organization, any volunteers you might have. And there will be conversations with them, what they are experiencing, what change they have actually um, felt after being involved or after being part of your organization.
Mm-hmm.
And we take that change as an outcome. So we speak to them. So first of all, stakeholder engagement is, it takes a while to speak to people about that's where we question them a lot, how they are
Mm-hmm.
experiencing the change, what has changed, and are they having positive and negative impact for every. It's not only the positive outcomes that we measure, but the negative
Mm-hmm.
impact as well. Maybe let's say homeless people did get service from you,
Mm-hmm.
but um, he is being involved more in crime because
Mm-hmm.
he's getting service from you because he's benefiting from your organization. Just an example. So there is
Mm-hmm.
negative outcome to the other stakeholder, that is government, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the stakeholder engagement, after actually knowing their story, we develop a theory of change. theory of
Mm-hmm.
change is a visual representation about the activities we do, about the outcomes, about the output. It's literally saying what outcomes we have experienced through our activities. And
Mm-hmm.
it helps us to, um, make any managerial decisions, or to see if our project is actually working.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a SRI model that we do from the
Okay.
basis of the stakeholder engagement and theory of change. And we do a SRI model where we use a spreadsheet and then measure the output outcome and see what dollar value the
Mm-hmm.
investment that you have made in your homeless organization or community organization that you have had actually provides. So this is not presented in a P&L or financial statements anywhere. So this is an
Mm-hmm.
external or a separate report that is being done. And nowadays, PwC and different, accounting firms or different
Mm-hmm.
organizations are doing this SRI to actually showcase their impact, the value of
Mm-hmm.
their impact in their community or in their organization. I
Hmm.
hope that it's a very
Yep.
big chunk of
Yep.
information, but yeah.
But yeah, it's good to know because I've always thought about like, okay, you're having like a foundation, I'm having like an organization, and I'm helping some people, few people like every week, every month. But how do you measure the impact thing? What you're saying is more about like it's an investment in terms of an investor, but is there something else too where we actually measure the impact for the
Yes,
shareholders? I think.
we are actually measuring the impact.
Uh.
Investment in term is not only the monetary term; it's a time
Mm-hmm.
or any inputs that you put. The inputs are the investment here. The SROI is a ratio of value divided by investment. So the
Okay.
value, yeah.
Value is
So
all the people who have been affected and with all your
yeah,
surveys and everything that
yeah,
comes in.
all the
Okay.
outputs.
Okay, that makes sense
So
then.
it's actually an impact measurement tool
Mm-hmm.
that is really useful and has been used by many organizations right now to see actually what their activities, or if their organizational goal has been achieved or not. It's just not used to see the SRI ratio, but to make more managerial decisions as well after knowing the value.
Hmm. Good to know.
Yes.
So is it only in the social enterprise, or is it to the corporates or other institution or the organization as well? This applies to.
If they are doing any, social, economic, or environmental impact, and if they want to measure, yes, it can be done for other corporates as well. But it's the activities that you are doing to solve a social problem or the social change that you are trying to bring about.
So it could also be done for a corporate social responsibility
Yeah, it can be
even.
done. We have an example of a very big construction company in
Mm-hmm.
Melbourne, and they are actually they are doing their SROI.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it's not about the daily work operations that they do, but the CSR, as you mentioned, maybe they are funding some, let's say, homeless organizations, or if they have some different, maybe a project to reduce their carbon emission. So they want to
Mm-hmm.
see a value there. And right now, there are more organizations that are trying to use these implications. And um, as per an professor in Harvard, his name is George Serafin, and he is, he works in this field, and I reflect and to his work. Um, so he has mentioned that there are more and more companies that are trying to show their social value in a community, because to compete with other organizations, you need to show what social value you are creating, because consumers are being more inclined to buying those products. For example, Thank you brand is really popular in Australia. And through their works, we are really inclined to buy their products if we can. So yeah, there is a differentiation that creates through these small works or big works an organization does.
Yeah, I think the big corporate, big organizations, they're also reflecting on their what values they are providing to the environment, to the consumers, and to the society, and they are, I think, redefining their goals and redefining their products and services. And like you said, as we are consumers now, we are also more focus on the products, focus on the services that are more sustainable, that are more environment friendly, and that are more, I mean, like, that are doing goods to our community as well.
Yeah, I've seen that dynamics of the consumer has changed from buying low cost goods rather than sustainable goods that is lasting longer, even though it's quite expensive sometimes. So people are more inclined to buying stuff that has social value or sustainability factors or ethical factors.
Most of the companies are actually, I actually did a research in that when we had to do it in our professional project where we had to do the research based on the secondary data. I actually did it for top 10 technical companies and looking into their corporate social responsibility reports and saying what are they doing to be socially responsible. I've forgotten the exact outputs, but it was mostly based around looking into what kind of resource are they using, if they are actually like is the resource if the resource is going to be like depleted completely, I think they go into like a different resource, or how are they producing, how can they recycle. I think Apple or something had like a different, they have like a designated robot which is made just to recycle products, so different companies are doing things like that. And it was called something else. It wasn't called a corporate social responsibility. It was called something else, and it changed later on as we came
Was
in.
it
And
ESG, Environmental, Social, and Governance report?
maybe I don't exactly remember. I just know that it was different, and it was called corporate social responsibility. And most of the corporate offices has to have that, as you said, in order to show the competitors that they are doing, and which is a very good thing. Although I'm not sure how much is it effective or what they are doing is actually enough, but it's good to have that corporate social responsibility and have that culture or trend around us to make them at
Yes.
least responsible for what they're doing.
Yes. And as per my perspective, CSR is not enough. CSR
Yep.
sometimes measures only, how many tons of papers you have recycled or not
Yeah.
used, or how many carbon emissions you have not done. For example, let's take COVID as an example. Now there is no flights going around. So does this mean that a company can report that they have less carbon emission in this year as compared to last or 2018? So those factors.
Mhm.
So I don't really imply on CSR, and that's why started to find what are other tools to measure impact. So yeah, I have a conflict of interest with CSR, but yeah, maybe that concept or model has changed now. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, as you mentioned about the technical companies, so are they actually trying to show to the consumers that they have done good for the community, or are they actually doing it? So it's difficult to,
Just for the
um,
sake of it, because you need to have that. They're just doing
yeah,
it for that instead of because they really want to be socially responsible.
yeah. Instead of that, what they could do is, actually hire people from, you know, underprivileged background or someone who actually needs job or disabled community and try to see the impact rather than doing the CSR report. It's just my
Mhm.
perspective, how I see social innovation right now. And all these social innovation, all these, knowledge I've incurred is through the social innovation journeys I've had in CQUniversity. So those those theory principles knowledge really helped me to explore more about what social innovation is, how I can be part of it, and how can I learn more. So I'm still in learning journey, and let's see where it takes.
Yeah, there would always be a conflict of interest between corporate people and socially responsible people, because for the corporate people, all that matters is money. So there will always
And
be a conflict of interest in that.
yeah, and look at me because I am a accounting profession, and uh, my responsibility is to cut cost, um, show the profitability, and sometimes, yeah, I just think, yeah,
Not
what
enough.
is
It's
this?
not enough. That's what you feel like. I can
Yeah,
understand that.
yeah, sure, yes.
Uh, yeah, I think I think we are done. I think because do you have anything?
Not much. I think you had some questions regarding like taxes and things, right?
Uh,
So do you guys do like tax return and stuff at your place or not? That's a question I'm interested in, because it's a time for tax return too, and there are a few questions where I want to know that, like, how can we actually reduce taxes for ourselves?
Yeah, sure. I love taxes. That's another what I love about what I do.
Uh-huh.
So taxation is different from the accounting. I just there, and this knowledge I gained from working and studying in doing a taxation course in Hitman Law, and I worked there for a while. This year I'm not working with them, but last year during COVID is where I was working with them. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer if I can.
yeah, I have a
Okay,
question. Like,
so yes,
when
go on.
should we go for I mean, like for tax accounting or for tax return, or when should we do by ourselves? Is there anything criteria for that?
No, there's as long as you feel that you can do it yourself, it's yeah, you can try yourself. But going as a tax consultant is, for example, I will just I just want to give an example. If I want to open up my own Melbourne Reflect podcast, I would have to do it from ground level, and you would have more experience because you have already done it. So it's just, is it? It's it's an option. It's a choice between myself trying to learn from scratch to how to do it, or coming to yourself and asking a question and paying someone to give me information. It's okay if you do it if you know what you're doing, but if you don't know what you are doing, then it's good to go to a tax consultant at least once and try to know why you are paying taxes on what you are paying. um, and there are a lot of information about tax deductions or everything in ATO, but it's a lot of noise, a lot of information.
Yeah, I find
And
a lot of like I get confused over there when I go there.
That's why I don't want to go there. That's why I'm asking you instead of going there.
as tax professionals, we have to study a lot. We have to keep updated in everything we do.
Hmm.
Every year things changes. For this year, the tax bracket has changed from 37,000 financial to 45,000. So you need to keep updated. You need to have a lot of information. So as tax consultants, we have to do the course again every year to
Okay.
sort of get all the information in our minds when we do the tax return. So I actually don't have a definite yes or no answer to if you have to do it yourself or if you have to go to another tax professional. But if you can do yourself, it's good, it's easy. But if if you feel like you are struggling yourself and you don't understand much, for the first time, I would suggest to go to tax consultant and actually understand it, why you are paying the tax, and ask questions about what is this deduction, what is this income, why am I paying this tax? Because if you ask questions, they will share to you rather than they saying because they have a definite 30 minutes or 40 minutes of time that is designated to them. So it's all yeah.
I think most of us just don't care about what are we paying for, what it is tax and everything. I have been the same. I have been in the
Yeah,
same group. So,
yeah.
but for the first 2 years, I think I did the tax returns through a tax agent. And last year, actually, I did it myself just by looking into YouTube videos and saying, like, what would go wrong? If something goes wrong, I might have to pay something extra. I'll get an agent and pay that. Well, at least let's try. And it worked
Yeah.
out actually for last year. But this year, I have something else attached to it. Like, I have two different sources of income and everything. So I might get confused in that. So I might go to a tax agent now. But so another question regarding that would be, so what are the tax deductions can we do? So let's say let me give you an example. Like, say I have the Uber Eats business, right? So I do Uber Eats delivery in my ABN. So what are the tax deductions I could do for that? Can I deduce tax, like I bought a bicycle for that, I had to repair my bicycle for that, or I had to buy different goods, lights and horns for that? Are those things tax deductible?
Yeah, anything that is related to your assessable income.
Mm-hmm.
Assessable income means your actual work you do and you earn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Any deductions relating to that is deductible. However, there are certain conditions to it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you buy a bicycle, then you can deduct, but you need to depreciate it because the bicycle might be, if it is more than $300, you have to do the depreciation. But if it's
Okay.
less, then you don't have to do depreciation. If you are doing depreciation, it's spread out
Uh-huh.
as per the year, and you need to find what is the effective year of that machinery or phone, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Even the phone you use for Uber Eats is deductible if you bought in that financial year.
Okay.
If you are using, if you are calling someone, or because you have to use your phone
Mm-hmm.
to check the delivery address, or you have to use your phone. Without phone, I don't know if it's impossible or not to do
Mm-hmm.
the
It is
delivery.
impossible.
Yeah, so you can apportion it, the percentage of your business, or the income part of the, how many percentage you used
Mm-hmm.
for that particular financial year, and you can do the deductions. And other expenses would be stationaries you might have bought, and it's good to put receipts for everything because there
Mm-hmm.
is a um, term substantiation. If
Mm-hmm.
your deduction is more than $300, then you need to have receipts for it. If you are audited, you will be asked for that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say if you buy a high vis, because you need to
Mm-hmm.
be visible at night, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
do that deductions as well. So it depends upon any occupation you are in, the deductions, basically.
So when you say audit, so it's basically like government trying to see whatever you claimed for is right or wrong, right?
Yeah,
So
yes.
does that happen like every year, or does that happen out of a sudden? It's just a random check, or what happens with the audits?
It's a random check. It's a
It's a
random check.
random
For
check, right?
example, let's say you have claimed a lot of deductions than your occupation, than
Mm-hmm.
other the same occupation. They might check. Right now, they are going to check a lot of tax deductions with cryptocurrencies
Mm-hmm.
because people might not declare the income.
Mm-hmm.
And ATO knows everything. ATO actually knows everything about your income. To be honest, they do a lot of data matching right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
So let's say I have done a tax return like in 2018, and I have done some deductions, and I have the bills for, or the tax invoices for them with me. How long should I keep it? Like, should I
five,
have that forever, or
5 years.
5 years?
Five
Okay,
years.
that's good to know.
Yeah, 5 years,
Okay.
and you can amend your tax return as well. For example, you might have missed to claim something that was
Hmm.
reasonably high amount, and for 2 years you can amend your tax return as well. Um,
Without any penalty.
Pardon?
Without any penalty, or you have to pay penalty if you missed a tax like for last year.
No, you don't have to pay penalty. There might be, if you have interest, there might be interest, but that interest is deductible as well. And
Okay.
mind you, if you are paying your tax consultant or agent, then that is deductible as well. And for example, you're living 20 minutes away from your tax consultant, the travel you
Mm-hmm.
do is deductible as well, 2 ways.
Right. Okay.
I have actually
That's,
written a blog about it again. Yes, I have written a blog and I have
yeah,
shared.
Nice.
send me that. I need that. Send me that. I want to see that. I need to know those things. Another thing, it's like I'm not sure if you can talk about it or not, but how much do you know about tax loopholes?
Tax loopholes. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I understand that question.
So
No, no, I'm
basically,
just.
you should have heard this, like like how corporate offices or businessmen are able to use those kind of tax loopholes and pay as much less tax as they can.
Yeah, it's about,
Do you-
having actual deductions. Um, it's about knowing what you can deduct rather than the
Mhm.
loopholes.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure if I should mention the loopholes or not here.
Okay, that's what I said. It's okay if you don't know, if you can't say about it.
But
That's
I
alright.
don't have, yeah,
That's
it's a matter of knowing the deductions rather than loopholes, to be honest.
uh-huh.
And I don't do corporate account tax deductions. I only do individual tax deductions, sorry,
Okay.
tax return. And this year I'm not doing, but next year I'm available for anyone who wants to do it.
Hmm.
I mean, a branch. So yeah, loopholes would be, yeah, just knowing what you can deduct. Because many people, they don't know what they can deduct. That's the
Exactly.
main
That's what I
thing.
mean. We don't know what tax is, how what we're paying for,
Maybe
what
I
we're
can I can
doing.
tell some of the deductions you could do. For
Uh huh.
example, someone is, let's say, working from home and someone
Hmm.
is um yeah working from home and they are doing office job, let's say. The deduction someone would have is their work from home. There
Hmm.
are different kinds of rates that you have to use in work from home as well.
Hmm.
I have written a blog about it, and you can go and read about that as well. Then telephone, internet, laptop, mobile phone. If it's relating to your work, I'm not
Hmm.
saying any personal use. And if there is personal use in the laptop, mobile phone, then you need to portion that. Portion meaning business and personal percentages. You need to separate that. And let's say you are given a work t-shirt that you have to wear every day when you're working from home, or maybe you have to go to sites, then you can deduct the laundry of that.
Hmm.
And um, other deductions would be stationaries as well. Maybe you bought ink cartridge, or maybe you bought um, pens and diaries, then you can deduct that as well. And if you are doing two jobs, let's say
Hmm.
you're working from home, but you have another job that you go to,
Hmm.
then you can travel. The travel between two jobs is deductible as well.
Right.
So office deductions are, if you go to meeting, in, let's say you are in a office and then you go to a meeting for in a different location, the
Hmm.
travel is deductible as well.
How would you claim the travel? Like, do you need to have like your petrol receipt, or what do you need to have in order to claim that?
Um, So there are two methods. One is called kilometer per cent method, and there is logbook method. So if you are doing kilo, sorry, kilometers per cent, then it is 72 cents. It was 68 cents before, and you multiply with the kilometers that you have traveled. But the maximum you can travel is 5,000 kilometers.
Hmm.
And it's good you keep the logbook, or it's good that you have, just a diary where you have written where you have gone,
Hmm.
to show that it is a legit business expense or business
Okay.
travel. And in the logbook method, it's good you have to mention the date and the kilometers that was traveled, and what was it for, let's say a meeting, or
Hmm.
yeah, whatnot, other expenses you might have. And when you do the logbook method, advantage is you can claim the portion of business in leisure, insurance, vehicle repairs, parking, but not parking fines.
Hmm.
So there are two methods to it.
So you can also claim like servicing your vehicle, or what are the other one?
Mhm.
I forgot. You can claim all of
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
What about like For example, like someone is working somewhere and he has a side hustle, like he started his own business from avian, but he did some investment, but he didn't have any income from that one. So what will be on that,
Yeah,
like?
he has to report that because that will get carried forward as loss because,
Mhm.
he has the investment, but it should not be his hobby. So there is difference between hobby and a business. If it is his actual business, but he didn't earn anything, then it's actually, you do income and expense, income minus expense, profit or loss, right? If it's a loss, then you have to carry forward that to another year. So you have to report your income or expense that you have had in that year.
So that you
And
can have it tax deductible next year. Can you do that with the loss? Yeah. I know that because I think we need to do that for your share trading or crypto trading accounts. If you have any
yes,
losses, they say that keep a
yes,
data of that because that is tax deductible later on.
yes. The crypto as well, you have to report everything that is in the transaction, even
Mm-hmm.
though you're in loss right now. Let's say because the coin value is gone down, that does not mean that you did not make any gains in between if you have made gain in between. So you need to do all the Excel worksheet data, yeah, extraction, and then see what gains you had
Mm-hmm.
while you traded in each coin, not overall, but each coin.
But I think it's more of like if you sell it, I think that's when you have to.
Yes.
That's
If you
because that's when
go,
you sell it. That's when you know that you either had a profit or a loss. So
yeah,
it's not like if you
it's
have it and if it is in loss. I don't think we can work out that you have to sell it in order to claim that and everything.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Anything that is disposable or
Mm-hmm.
disposed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And I would like to say some tax deductions that could be helpful for international students.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you are working as a, let's say, can you give me one occupation that international students work? Maybe admin?
Okay. Receptionist.
Yes. So receptionist, you can't claim any, clothes you buy because you are working. That is a considered as a conventional clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is a logo and if you had to buy it, then you can claim that. And if there is a logo, it needs to be registered as well by the company. You can claim the laundry for that. And if you are doing two jobs, you can claim the distance travel between the two jobs. You can claim the stationaries. Um, and if you are using your mobile phones, you can claim the proportion of business value of the mobile phones. Um, Others would be if you had to work from home during COVID, then you can claim as well. I'm just trying to see if I've ticked all the boxes.
So if it's like someone is doing a housekeeping job and they have to wear mostly they have to wear I think like office dress for that particularly. So if they have paid for that they can claim that too.
Yes,
Okay.
it depends upon the occupation you are in actually, and if there is
Mm-hmm.
a particular logo, it should not be just white t-shirt and black pants. It needs to have
Mm-hmm.
a logo, or it needs to separate you from different occupation. Then you can claim it. Like nurses wear scrubs, and if they
Mm-hmm.
have to buy it, then they can claim that. And if you have done a dry cleaning of your uniform,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that let's say a nurse is dry cleaning a scrub, then if you
Mm-hmm.
have a receipt, then you can claim that as well.
Okay. That's good to know. That's all from me. I wouldn't like to take more of your time.
Uh, I think we had an app like we can put every information and it will automatically shows whatever deduction we need to get. Is there any app? I don't think is there any app like that.
I'm not quite sure, to be honest, because deduction is something that you have to, every person
Manually
has
put in.
Yeah, I'm not quite
Manually
sure.
put in like what are the things.
Manually, yeah, that's what we use to do tax return. So we use some kind of softwares to do that tax return, to calculate everything there, and then that is exported or that is linked to ATO portal when we work.
So let me just put it in simple words and tell me if I'm wrong. So what we're doing during the tax return is that whatever profit or income we have earned, we have to pay certain amount of taxes for that.
Yeah,
And so basically it's what I earn minus what I spent on the business or the job,
yeah.
and whatever the remaining amount we have left, based on which bracket it fills into, we pay that much amount of tax, right?
I want to reiterate that. So if are you talking just about business or individuals?
Let's say both. What's
For
the difference
for
between both?
for individuals, there is a tax bracket of 18,200. You don't have to pay tax on $18,200.
Mm-hmm.
So um, every dollar after 18,200 to 45,000, you have to pay 19% of tax. And
Mm-hmm.
this goes on depending upon which tax bracket you are in. Also, I would like to mention one thing that most of the international students miss is the medical levy. So they need to fill out medical levy form. If they, it depends upon the income as well. First,
Mm-hmm.
see if you are in that income bracket that you have to fill out the medical levy form or not. If as an international student, we don't have the benefit of Medicare levy here. We pay for our own private health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a form in medical levy. It's called medical levy entitlement form that you have to
Mm-hmm.
fill out and send to the email address that's mentioned there with your passport and visa copy. And they send you a um, document saying that you are not entitled to pay for medical levy. So when you do your tax return, make sure that you have mentioned that you have full exemption. So it's called exemption, full
Mm-hmm.
exemption for medical levy because you are not entitled to pay medical levy. So it depends upon your income as well. Let's say as an international student, you earn just $25,000. You will not be
Mm-hmm.
taxed. You will not be charged with medical levy anyway. But let's say it was more than $27,000. There is
Mm-hmm.
a um, criteria on that as well. Please check the website. I think it's $27,000. So if you have not ticked that you are exempt from medical levy exemption, then
Mm-hmm.
they too will not know which visa you are in, or sometimes I don't think so. They have time to check everyone's, what they have done.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be paying medical levy, which you should not be paying. So make sure on that as well. And it takes a month to get that approved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better you do in June if you want to apply for the July tax return. So that's the main takeaway of tax for international
Okay.
students I would like to give.
Something that I just wanted to know. So when you're paying in TFN, what tax is it that you're paying, and when you're paying in avian, what tax are you actually paying with both of those?
It's the same. If you are registered as a company, it's different. But if you
Mm-hmm.
are paying ABN, it is the same rate for TFN and ABN. When we do the tax return, we do your TFN and ABN income together.
What tax are we paying with that?
So the same individual income tax,
Income
that's
tax.
called 90%, 32%, 37%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How complicated is it right now to know what are the different kinds of tax that we have?
Um, do you mean individual tax
If
and
it is very big and if it's very complicated, let it be.
it's
If it's just simple,
it's um the ones I'm aware of is the individual tax return. In
mm-hmm.
the individual tax return, we do the tax for both TFN and ABN together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you open your MyGov as well, it will say you that you have to do, there is a ABN income, and then you have to do it together.
Mm-hmm.
And um, for anyone who is involved in Uber, they have to do their BAS as well. That is business activity statement that is done quarterly or um, annually, but that is more about the GSTs. And there is small business tax that is about, I think it's about 25%. I'm not quite sure the percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a company, the big company tax as well. I think it's 27 or 31%. So it depends upon, yeah. So these are the three, yeah, taxes.
Major taxes. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to
But
know.
the, but, but in individual, there
Mm-hmm.
are three tax percentages. So from
Okay.
18,000 to 45,000, you pay 19% for every tax that you have earned above 18,200.
Mm-hmm.
And from 45,000 to, I think it's 90,000, you have to pay 32.5%. So it's not that, if you have earned, let's say, 50,000, you are not
Mm-hmm.
going to pay 50,000 minus 18,200
Mm-hmm.
multiplied by 32.5%. It's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So for the first 18,200, you will not pay any tax. But
Mm-hmm.
when you deduct the 50,000 minus 4,500, and for the, 45,000, the 45,000 will have different tax. That
Mm-hmm.
is 32.5%. And sorry, 19%, and for
The
the
remaining
remaining
5,000 will
5,000,
have.
you pay 32.5%.
Oh, okay. So if I have 50,000, it would be like 50,000 minus 18,200. No, no, no. It would be like 45,000 minus 18,200, and you pay 90% tax. And then for 50,000 minus 4,500, 5,000, you pay 32%. For 18,200, that's at the beginning, you don't pay anything for that.
It looks like very quite complicated, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
basically
Okay.
we had to put the
Uh-huh.
maths. But ATO does that for you when you do in my tax, or tax consultants do for you when you are
Ah.
in a tax consultant. But it's really good to know what tax you are paying. That's what I want to deliver, and that's when I
Uh-huh.
started. I was paying taxes, and being an accounting student, people would ask me, multiple questions. And we never studied this in university. We do study taxation,
Uh-huh.
but it's about law.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to find where can I, go or volunteer or study to, at least know what my taxes are. And then after studying for about, I think it was 16 weeks, I got an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to work as tax consultant. I was doing that with my full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that's how I know all these.
It's good to know that you're paying like according to different brackets, and I didn't know that you actually exclude that 18,200 from the beginning.
Yeah, most international students don't know, and most international students have the misconception that in the first year they don't pay 18,200. They don't pay tax on 18,200, but
Mm-hmm.
each year you do. You don't have to pay tax on 18,200 money that you earn.
Okay.
A lot of information.
Yeah, that's right. I needed that, but there's a lot further else that I would like to know. The more I could know, the better, because as we have discussed, like in our last podcast, that nobody teaches us this kind of things, like how to manage
Sure.
finances and everything. You have to learn it yourself, and that's what I'm trying to do right now.
I think I should do a blog after having. So my blogs are actually inspired by conversations I have with people.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a conversation with um with one of my sisters about what is this 2018 tax offset and if I will get it or not. And then it's just difficult to answer these questions straight away. It does not have a
Mm-hmm.
plain answer. So it just struck me, I need to write a blog about it so people know because they're having confusion about it. So these kind of small conversations leads me to what questions I need to answer, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how I pick my blog as well, rather than just throwing out information about any haphazard things.
That's good to know. Maybe you could send us the link to your blog. We could put it in our descriptions below.
Sure, sure. And I will write. I think it's good if I write a blog for international students about taxation as well after having this conversation.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll do that. Not
Cute.
now, but let's see, coming days.
Whenever you have time. But it would be great if it could be done like before this year tax return. A lot there will be
Yeah,
a lot of
obviously
people
it
who
would
will look
be a
for
tax
that.
return. Yeah.
So I think we are almost done. So for it was just final message for all of us. I'm like, what do you want to say to all of us, to international students, to the graduates, or maybe someone who are trying, who are planning to come here, maybe to all the students.
Yeah. So I would say that Australia is a land of opportunity, and after you come here, you need to try to find it. You'll not be just handed over. If you search for what passion you have and work towards it, you will get an end result at the end of the day. For international students, I know the struggle is difficult. Everyone gets, has to go through those struggles, but one day um, you will be patting on yourself for all the struggles you have had. Just try to network with people, find a mentor. Maybe one of us can be your mentor sometime, and just have conversation about anything that bothers you. And try to, if you are passionate or if you want to work for a company or volunteer, intern, anything, just send them an email. As I've mentioned before, the answer is just going to be yes or no. If yes, it's brilliant. But if no, you can knock in another door and ask for the same question. So these are the um, things I would like to say to everyone who's listening to this podcast.
Thank you very much for that, Urusha. Also, another thing I would like to add is if someone wants to reach out to you for any tax consultation or for your work, how can they reach you?
LinkedIn would be the best platform to connect to me. And just letting everyone know, if you have tax questions, yes, I can help out, but this year I'm not working and I'm not a registered tax agent. I'm just a
Okay.
tax consultant. So I would be happy to help you out through any questions you have. And I would like to make a blog and then present to everyone so that everyone can know about the questions you're having. So it would, yeah, I would love to hear any questions about anything you have.
All right, then we'll link the LinkedIn address of yours too in our descriptions below.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your all insight, and thank you so much for coming here and sharing your experiences. Thank you, Urusha.
Thank you. I would actually like to know some more things about you as well, to be honest.
Yeah, sure.
Is it okay to
Yeah,
ask?
Yeah, what
yeah,
do you want to
that's all
know?
right.
We are free. I'm free. I can talk all day today. What do you want to know?
How long has this gone? How long has this gone? I don't know.
I think it's
Is it?
2 hours.
It's 1 hour 45 minutes
It
according to
says
Oh
my
two
my
phone
God.
hours
record.
on my laptop here.
Who's saying to
Okay.
listen? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm
No,
just
that's all
kidding.
right, man. We could go as long as we want. That's the thing about having a podcast. You don't have like a restricted time, and you don't have to do within time frame and be restricted to the questions only. That's the fun about podcasts. You can always go on and on.
Or you can cut them. Yeah. Just questions about, how you develop this mindset about, innovation. Because I see us different to other international students because we have a different mindset, I guess. And I think that differentiates, that is a differentiation that we have from many um, other international students as well. It is just a curious thing to how you got into social innovation or just what you do.
You wanna go first, Neeraj? Or should I?
Yeah, no, for me, like I did my first semester in University of Wollongong, and after that I transferred to CQUniversity. So in University of Wollongong, we had a talk in last podcast. I did. I'm like, it was just going to university and then work, going to university and then work. So there was nothing beside than that. And then when I came to CQUniversity, I don't know. So someday it just click on my mind. Like I self reflect on myself. Like, so do you want to spend rest of your semester or rest of your university like you spent in in the University of Wollongong? Then the answer came like, no. I'm like, you have to do something. I'm like, it's not, you just not come here for just for reading, just for work. And I think you have to experience something different. You have to try something new out. You have to go, like you have to come out of your comfort zone. And that's from that where you can grow. And like I share, like they were the friends who always talk about money. They were the friends who always talk about PR. And that kind of circle really, I'm like in the first semester, that really blocked me. I'm like, I was in that zones and I didn't know what to do. But in the second semester, I pushed myself. I reached out to university. I saw whatever the opportunities in the universities. And I asked to myself, like, what I really want to do in this university. And that's from where I think the answer came out. And I started going to the events of social innovations, and that's when I meet with BKs, and then that's when I participate in different events of social innovations, and that's when my mindset starts changing. Like when I connected with like-minded peoples, and when I connected with all the peoples, and that's how my mindset starts changing. And yeah, I still have connection with those friends, but now since my mindset is already leaned towards this, I'm really happy, and I feel like I'm growing as well, and yeah, and that's how I got into this one.
Yeah. Before PK starts, I have a quiz question to ask
Mhm.
for all of us, which is one event that all of us have actually attended, even though it was in different cities.
What was the last line? Although it was?
Pardon?
What was the last line you said?
Which is the one event that we have all attended, even though it was in different cities.
Festival of Change?
I think
Pardon?
Like for all three of us, right?
Yeah.
It should
Even
be
though it was
Festival
in
of
different
Change.
cities and different years.
I think it was
Oh, same event.
big idea
There are plenty of them.
competitions. I think one
US
is big
trip.
idea competition and US trip.
US
maybe.
trip. That's the
Yes.
best one.
Yeah.
The US
Yes, well,
conference, man.
Yeah.
And I think big idea competition is also, I think you took part in big idea competition. I think Urusha, did you take part of
Yeah,
that?
we were second finalists from uni.
Oh, okay. And even biggest were I'm like the runner up. I guess, yeah. In which year?
Me or you mean?
I think you were also runner up, I guess, in big idea competition.
Yeah, I was one of the finalists in
Yeah, finalist, yeah.
2019.
2019.
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like mine.
It was in Melbourne, actually, the competition. I think it always happens there, right? The finals.
Yeah.
It's good that I got to travel there because I was from Sydney. If I was in Melbourne, it would have been just there. No fun for that. Although it was fun to have that. Actually, as I said before, too, like it all started with you, me, and Ronak, right? We started the Big Idea competition together in 2018. But the thing we lacked in that model or that concept was a proper business idea model, like a proper business model was missing out there. So I just followed on that, made it much better. Actually, I use this opportunity to include it in my assessments too. So when we have to make a business model, a new business model, or a new business out there in the market for our one of the unit, think big. This is what I use there too. So I had been working on this, like not for the big idea competition only, but I knew that I could always use this there. So I was utilizing it to make it better from wherever I could. And that's how I reached the finals. And also, I think one of the reasons why I was there was I was very good with communication, I guess, because I was able to tell them that I already had things that I didn't have. Like I was very much confident I have already done this and that, although I didn't have it with me. So yeah, I think that's one of the things about these business quiz competitions. You can always, if you are confident enough and if you can tell them things, even if you haven't done it or if it's still in a work in progress, you can always tell them it's already been done and work after onwards on that.
Also, you get a lot of support from university on each stage of the Big Idea competition, which I wanted to commend as well.
Yeah, the university had a great support, like not only from Ashley and social innovation team. I could always go to ask other academics, which I actually did for marketing purposes. I went and asked one of our professors, like, how can it be better for marketing, So
Yeah.
there's always options available to go out and ask for help.
Yeah. I think we must say that CQUniversity has played a big part in our life.
It is a big part of our life. It's I think it's destined for me, the way I ended up in CQUniversity itself, than being a change champ for university itself. So coming into my story, when I came in, I was like any other normal Nepali international student, like bound with work, and I was about to change the university actually in the second term, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to pay my fees.
Yeah.
So from the start, when you come in after 1 month, you start having that pressure. Oh shit, I have to pay my fees, this and that. But luckily, this opportunity opened up at the right time, before second semester, and I got into this. And it was just something that I needed
I
to
think,
explore myself, to go out and do what I always wanted to do. And
yeah.
that was one of the best jobs I did here, because it wasn't only about earning money, but it was more about like you yourself feeling good, you doing something out there, you're affecting people's lives. So it was one of the best jobs I did as a social innovation. And where did I get into it? How did I got into it? Is basically I got a job. That's how I got into it. I didn't have any idea about what social innovation actually is.
Yeah.
But I was somehow interested in social work, helping people, and I had done a lot of voluntary work during the earthquake back
Mm.
in our country for 2015, and I think those were the things that got me into the job, and it completely changed my life. It's made me more wiser. Like as I said, if it wasn't for that job, I wouldn't be in this state as I'm right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, social innovation as a whole, it has not only brought up that thing or passion in me where I like to help people, where I like to do things, but it has taught me a lot in terms of like how you can look into a problem even in the daily life or regular life and work on it. As you said, the human-centered design. You can always use those tips and tricks that you've learned from there into your real life, into your business, or into your education. So it has been a great asset for me, like social innovation so far in my life.
True. Same.
Yeah, I know. When I changed the university from University of Wollongong to CQUniversity, I'm like, so University of Wollongong, I was in the main campus, and the university was so big. I mean, like, it's so huge. And when I came to CQUniversity Sydney, and it was just a one-store building, and and all of my friends we were a group of, I think, 4 friends from University of Wollongong to CQUniversity, and all of us were saying, oh my God, this university is so small, and why we came here? But when it started finding out opportunities that the university is giving to the international student, and that's when I realized the university is so great, and it's really providing a lot of opportunity for the international student.
Yeah.
One of the
I'll,
best things of uh-huh
you go first.
yeah, one of the best things about being in like a small campus of a university is that there is less competition. There is less competition, so you have more chances of grabbing those opportunities. Like for me in CQ Sydney campus, any event, anything is happening, I just had to apply. I was sure that I was getting selected because I knew
Yeah.
that there weren't much people applying for it.
Yeah. True.
So that is one
That
of the
is
best things for being in a small campus.
that is true as well. And you need to know how to grab those opportunities, and at least having that thought and having that mindset about, okay, there are these opportunities that I need to grab. So having at least that information and having those, how shall I term this way? At least that, I don't know, mindset or anything, having that courage to know
Mindset,
that,
attitude.
yeah, because many people even don't know about those information about there. It's just in your email. One time there was a student asking me, how did you go to Mackay? Because I went to student leadership conference in Mackay. And then after I had come back, I had posted a lot of videos in Facebook. And she came to me and asked, she was in the same semester, and how did you apply? And I said, there were emails sent out, then I just applied. And then she didn't even know about it. So it's just being aware. Okay, that's the word I'm looking at, aware about things that's
Where
happening.
Yeah,
that's
even
that's true. I had that habit of like, I think it started after I got the job, or somehow I saw the email for the role of change app. So it's about like, instead of ignoring everything, at least open it up and see what it is. so that you could at least have an idea about being aware and actually checking the emails. Although it's like if it's a spam or anything, open it, delete it, whatever. At least know that there might be opportunity hidden somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, even I did like I saw your blog, I think, regarding that student leadership and regarding US trip and all that. And I said, how did she got all there? And I checked all, and I checked all the events date. I mean, like, okay, after this, there's this event, there's this event. And then and then I prepared according to that. Okay, I'll prepare from now so I can be on that event, so I can get selected on that. So according to that, I check all the events in which month it really happens, and how can I be the part of that. And that's how that's how I plan, and I think that's worked for me as well. Like going in student leadership and going to US trip as well, and becoming part of different events that BKS organize. I think it's not about becoming part. I think that completely changed the way I'm seeing my life and the way now I'm going to do the things that I'm doing. And I think that's why I like the CQ University, and I think I'm so much thankful for that, providing such opportunities.
True.
I'm lucky to be there. As I said, I was somehow destined to be there and be in that role and do all of things. I always say this to my friends, like whenever it comes regarding scholarships and things. Like I didn't get any scholarship when I joined in, although people got like 20% or some kind of scholarship because I didn't have proper percentage. Although if I had applied for it, I would have got it, but I didn't apply because my consultant didn't tell me about it. But I didn't get a scholarship back then, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that I utilized whatever opportunity was there to
True.
travel, especially like the uni has spent a lot of amount in my travel. I know that. I'm very thankful for that. So although I didn't get that scholarship, I utilized all of the opportunities here.
True. True. Also, the travel, it's, even though it's for 10 or 5 or 6 days, it's the connections you make in those travel.
Yeah.
I still have people in my LinkedIn and Facebook with whom I had traveled. So we were staff and students that we went. I think it's same for all of us.
Yep. Yep.
And those connections, that still connections, and the talks you have, the conversations you have, and you are not only representing your university Melbourne, you're representing Nepal as well. So it's two representations that you are taking along when you're going to the USA. That was a very biggest thing that was I was proud of, to be honest.
But it's a proud thing for us, man. Going to like, I don't know, for all of, I wouldn't say all of us, but for most of us who has been grown up in Nepal in our generation, Australia was a very, I think Australia came into like notice at a very later state. But
Yeah.
if you're looking from our childhood, it was like America, going to America, that thing happening. So
Yeah.
actually going there, like like yeah, and it was a good thing that I didn't apply for US and went to study there, because I came to Australia and I got went to US too. So it was like both things instead of one.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that too, man.
So I have one last question for Urusha. Like, so what you are looking forward in your life now?
I must say that I'm still in exploring phase right now. So even though I'm doing my work in my own profession, I'm exploring, like I have mentioned, about SROI and impact weighted accounts. I'm more inclined in works that has social value, social change, social impact. So I really want to open up a social enterprise somewhere near the down road, but I'm not quite sure. I've not come up with an idea of what I want to do. So I must say that I'm still in the exploration stage at my life right now.
I think we
Yes.
all are right now in the same kind of phase. Even Neeraj is trying
Yeah,
to do something.
true. After having all this knowledge and experience, you see things differently,
Different.
a different perspective. So you are not the same person as you were when you came, or so
Hmm.
things change, and the things you want to do actually changes. Rather than working for a big corporate, you want to work in a company that is small, who's actually looking for benefits of the community, bringing social change, social value. So those are the small things that changes in yourself after you have, you know, been part of social innovation. Yeah,
As I said, it just makes you wiser somehow, to go there. And I have I'm sure that I wasn't that empathetic before, because before I joined in here, the way I am empathetic right now. Even basic example I have for this is like how I used to look at people who are homeless and who are on the streets. My mentality before getting into this field is that, why don't you just go and get a job? You just instead of go out and do some work, earn some money. But
sure.
that's not how simple it is. There are different factors. Someone might be out there because they lost their jobs because of something. So might be there because of domestic violence. Someone might be there for different kinds of reasons, and they're at such a bottom level that it's not as easy for me to say that just go and get a job. It's not that easy for them. Mentally it's draining, physically it's draining. They don't see what to do for the next day. They don't have time to think for the whole year. There are lots of factors involved in that. These
Sure.
kind of things I wouldn't have seen or understood before getting
Mm-hmm.
into social innovation, but now I can see that, now I can understand that. So yeah, it makes you a completely different person. It makes you much more wiser. That's what I think.
Sure. And you'll be surprised to know that in 2018 or 2019, I don't know the exact year, there were 21% of Australians who had
Mm-hmm.
food security. So they had to
Mm-hmm.
think, there was a day in their life they had to think, I'm not going to have any food to eat. So, there are so many different factors caused
Mm-hmm.
by homelessness and different social injustice that happens in our community. And we don't know the core values. And if we do not have this knowledge about social innovation embedded in us, we wouldn't start looking for answers about the source why this is
Mm-hmm.
happening. We would be just looking at the outer phase. Okay, they are homeless, they could get a job, they didn't get a job. So just the
Mm-hmm.
three perspective. But now mm, we have social innovation knowledge and the principles and implications. We are trying to look more deeper. That's what I would say.
True.
Yeah, I think every podcast now is becoming more insightful conversations in our podcast, and that's so great. I'm loving it now, and thank you so much again for sharing all those insightful conversations and your wisdom. And thank you, Vikesh, and like you always share your experiences, and from your experiences I have learned so much. And thank you, Rusha.
Likewise, bro, likewise.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
Risa.
much. Thank you. Talk to you soon, guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.